Hello, this is Andrew Davey at Nevada Forward, and we're here with Erika Castro from Plan. Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
So it's been nearly 2 months since the Trump administration made its announcement on DACA. How have things been for you? From what you can see, how have things been for the immigrant community here in Nevada in these past 2 months?
I think it's been a little bit of different things. I think there's a lot of fear. I think there is a lot of confusion. But there's also a lot of people that are not going to back down and have been stepping forward, sharing their stories, being more active, figuring out what it is they can do to make sure that we pass a Clean Dream Act. So even though there has been fear and confusion, part of our work is making sure that the community knows what their rights are and what's actually happening around DACA.
So it's my understanding that this is one of the demands you and other activists have been making here today, that Senator Heller actually support and actually work toward getting a vote on a Clean Dream Act. How has that been, trying to get that message across to the senator's office?
I mean, in the past, Senator Heller has been, supportive of Dreamers, and his staff has said, we've met with his staff and they said, he's supporting of Dreamers and DACA recipients. But I think at the end of the day, we're tired of hearing just words, and we're tired of hearing just like, yeah, we support you, when there's no action. We need him to publicly come forward and say, I'm going to stand up for Nevadans that are DACA recipients and their families and make sure that they are protected.
And from what he has said thus far this year, you don't think that cuts it?
I don't think so. I think we're at a point right now where we're constantly being attacked because of where we were born and our immigration status, that I think it needs to be more than just words. It needs to be actions, and he needs to be holding the Trump administration accountable and saying it's not okay for you to criminalize DACA recipients that have been here their whole entire lives and then use them as bargaining chips to fund a wall, to fund more detention centers, or anything like that.
Yeah. As you just said earlier this month, Stephen Miller, a senior Trump advisor, released this manifesto, essentially saying if you want us to provide some sort of protection to DACA recipients, then you need to support the border wall and you need to support new restrictions on legal immigration.
Yeah.
So, what do you think when you saw that? And do you think some sort of an agreement can come out of that?
I think it's very inhumane to use the lives of 800,000 DACA recipients as ransom for a border wall, for more money for a detention center, when a country, what it actually needs is more money invested into our education, money invested into our infrastructure, money invested into healthcare. Those are the things that we actually need. So to use the lives of so many immigrants to fund a wall that's unnecessary, I think that's very inhumane, and it gets us nowhere, and it really shuts down the whole conversation there, because we're not going to allow to make it easier to deport people like my parents that made a huge sacrifice in leaving everything behind and bringing me here to have a better life, so that they can build a wall.
Now, to pivot a little, Dreamers and other immigrants here are taxpayers too. And how has it been for you seeing how the conversation in Congress has shifted from we need to do something about the DREAM Act to let's try to repeal Obamacare again to now, okay, let's try some tax cuts?
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of trying and there's not a lot actually being done, and the things that are being they are trying to do, it doesn't benefit the average American, average person living in the United States. I think that all of this it's a lot of trying to benefit their own pockets. And I think with the whole budget cuts now, and the whole tax cuts now, I think that it's just another way for them to distract us from the actual issues that are impacting us, and it's another way for them to put more money in their pockets when, you know, immigrants are taxpayers, and a lot of that money, it's money that we don't benefit from, that we can't access. You know, we're students, so we're paying money into higher education and all of that, and I think that's a lot of money that goes into the economy that we are putting into that isn't taken into account.
And finally, when Congressman Mark Amodei was in town last week, he actually suggested that the only way he sees any kind of progress on immigration reform, and particularly the DREAM Act in the near future, is if Democrats go ahead with a discharge petition and enough Republicans sign on to it. Also last week, House Speaker Paul Ryan said he is open to some sort of DACA deal being included in December when they need to take care of the debt ceiling and the overall federal budget. Are you hoping that with this December deadline coming up, that this might force Congress's hand to do something?
Well, I mean, the discharge petition, first of all, that one's already out. I believe currently there's 195 signatures. And for Amodei to say, you know, this is the way to go, he actually hasn't signed the discharge petition. So I think the first step there is to stop just talking, but actually sign the discharge petition and then tell your colleagues to sign it with you. I think that's the first thing to do, because you can say, like, yes, I'm for it, but if you don't even sign it, then your words are meaningless. And then the second thing is, we've been working towards around the December 8th deadline. We want to make sure that the DREAM Act is included there, and it's a clean DREAM Act, that it's not something that's going to put the rest of our families in harm.
Great.